Hello. Hi, Daily Dose of Donna.
Hello, how are you?
I'm ready. I'm excited. I mean, we have an exclusive, and um, it's not, or do you want to tell them what the exclusive is?
Well, number one, welcome everyone in. I'm so used to starting my shows by saying it's your daily dose of Donna, so this is going to
Welcome on
throw
in,
me off.
welcome on in, welcome on in.
I know. I know. For everyone that's here, I see so many people, so many of our normal people that are here, but so many new people that have never watched our shows. So, welcome to everyone that's here. I am Donna from Daily Dose of Donna, and then you are Zack. We cover so many things, but we have been covering this case specifically 5 days a week since December 21st. Since this case started, since Blake Lively hit Justin Baldoni with these claims in the New York Times. So we are we got our glasses on and we are invested. And you and I both yesterday separately
Yeah.
received documents
Yep.
separately. And you and I are
Separately.
actually very, very close.
Yes, and we
Sep-
talk all the time.
we're on the phone 24/7. We text all the time. You don't like women, but if you did, we would probably be married. I should probably preface that I am married, but we're very close and we talk all the time. And I immediately reached out to you and I said, Zack, I just got something and I'm a little concerned. And you said, whoa, because I just got something too. We
And we
started to
read it.
talk. Go ahead.
Yeah, we were reading the info that we got and immediately got on the phone and I was like, "Oh my God, you're not gonna believe it, Donna. Ryan Reynolds, gym coach from high school, just told me this story of when he peed his pants on the basketball court." JK, JK.
No, no, it was Blake Lively's piano teacher. No, no, no. This
Mm.
is serious. This is actually
Yeah,
serious.
this is actually serious, and it is a big breaking exclusive that nobody else has talked about yet, and we're going to reveal the documents that were sent to us. And I mean, I can say for me, like, we've both been on the phone nonstop for the past 24 hours, but we've been so conflicted
Yeah.
about the information that we got because it's kind of torn us in half. And I feel like people often say, you're biased, you only talk about this or you only cover that. But like today's show will prove that we're not biased and we will show you all sides as the case continues to unfold.
I have said this from the beginning. I truly believe in my heart who is, you know, I look at this as like a clock, right? Like a ticker, right? Like this. And as we believe in these cases, like there's evidence that is presented, right? And so far, we have seen so much evidence that is leaning towards showing us that Justin is very much on the right side of history.
Yeah.
We have not seen too much from Blake's camp. And we know that Blake's camp is going to be coming out with her amended complaint on, at first, it was supposed to come out by Friday. They got an extension to Monday, but Monday is a federal holiday. So then they got an extension and it will be coming out on Tuesday. This amended complaint, allegedly, will be 300 pages long.
Yeah. And
300
also,
pages.
before we present anything, we do have to say, as a disclaimer, this episode is for entertainment purposes only. The information that we present, these are allegations. Everybody is innocent until proven guilty in a court of law. So we're not here to convict anybody or claim anybody of being guilty or not guilty. This is just information that was tipped off to us. And as far as we know, this information has now been circulating to other content creators. So these documents were going to come out at some point, and we just figured, you know what, let's both come together and present the full case to you guys and give you all sides of this story.
Yes. And we actually have in our documents that we have, they're written. It's not just like hearsay, it's written, it's typed up, and that's why we're taking it seriously.
Yeah, they're
Um,
formal documents that, yeah, will be presented. And we believe that this is information that Blake Lively's team plans to release in her amended complaint on Tuesday. Now, we don't know that as fact because we're not on Blake Lively's legal team, but we do believe that this is the information that will be presented. We've had rumblings over the last couple of weeks about what their smoking gun could be, and it appears that these are them.
so do we want to
Possibly.
start Do we want to start with that, or do we want to talk about really fast the subpoenas? I guess I feel
Let's
like
talk the
everyone.
subpoenas first. We'll talk about the subpoenas first, and we'll like gloss or we'll breeze through that, and then we'll pull up the documents and get into that. But there was
Okay,
some
so we're
news
going to
that came
talk
out.
about the documents in just 5 minutes. I just want to quickly just give you guys an update on the subpoenas because on Friday night, on Valentine's night, I had shared over on my TikTok, and a lot of creators had talked about how Blake Lively's team had asked for this crazy subpoena that sounded insane, right? Where 2.5 years of of every single document, right? Like every single text message, browsing history of all of Justin Baldoni and all of Wayfarer's, things, right? All of their browsing history, text messages, location, everything. And they were subpoenaing AT&T, T-Mobile, Verizon, Cloudflare, AOL, Instant
Why not
Messenger.
Mint Mobile? Because nobody
Mint
uses it.
Mobile is under T-Mobile. I did the
Yeah,
research
yeah. It's
because
part of it.
everyone's like,
Got
"Wow,
bought by
no one
T-Mobile.
uses
Yeah,
Mint Mobile." But anyway, so that was all happening. And in the middle of that, people were like, that is wild, including myself, because uh, Brian Friedman and his team, Blake Baldoni's team, came back and said, this is not a criminal case. This is a wild, wild request. Now, meanwhile, I had done some research and I do follow people that are lawyers. And there is a specific lawyer, and I'm going to shout her out because I find her incredibly smart. And she is, I think, more on Blake's team, but she is very smart. She's a lawyer. Her name is MJ, more with MJ on Threads. And I like her. And she is not inflammatory. And she said, this is a normal request. And they're not actually asking
yeah,
for the content of the text messages. They're just asking for logs, meaning if Justin Baldoni has texted if he has texted Jen Abel, just say 16 times between 7 and 8 p.m. and only presented 3 text messages in those documents, where are the rest of those 13 text messages? Now we want to see what he didn't show us. Now we can ask for the content of those texts, etc.
yeah. So I
Right?
mean, it's a very wide net. It's not likely that they're going to get those subpoenas approved. But I was talking to 2 attorneys the other day. I mean, I've been on the phone with
There's MJ.
attorneys,
She's
HR
watching, by the
people.
way.
Like,
She's in the comments.
love it.
I can't pin it because you're controlling this live. You're controlling me.
Oh, I
You
don't
are
see
controlling me.
MJ.
Why do men always control us females?
That's just what we do. It's a man's
Clearly,
world.
believe women.
Yeah. Also, guys, be sure to hit the like button if you're enjoying this and support me and Donna. We do this every day. Today, we're doing it on a Sunday. We're competing with Jesus. So thank you for taking some time away to come in and praise Baldoni and Blake. But so yeah, we'll see the scope of what they're trying to reach is very wide. And so this is a common strategy, similar to like Justin Baldoni trying to sue for 400 million, right? Normally in these cases, you go as big as you can and you shoot up to the sky, and then you know you're probably going to fall somewhere in the middle. So just know that even though they are trying to cast this big net with the phone records, they're not likely going to be getting access to all of this information because they also have to prove cause. And just like with the extension, right? They wanted an extension until March 5th. And the judge is like, okay, well, give me for what reason? What cause do you have to get these extra 2 weeks that you're asking for? And they didn't have justified cause to even get a 2-week extension. So I highly doubt they're going to be able to provide cause to get access to that much data in the phone records.
So meanwhile, they had sent a letter. Baldoni's team had sent a letter to Judge Lyman on Friday. And meanwhile, Blake Lively's camp had sent another letter yesterday on Saturday, the 15th, because these lawyers don't celebrate holidays. They don't have a weekend. They work through it all. They work through fires, they work through natural disasters. And they sent another letter that basically responded to Baldoni's team's letter and confirmed that they are asking for the logs and the metadata. Metadata is the new word of 2025, by the way. Who knew we were going to talk so much about metadata?
Right.
They're asking for the call logs, the metadata, not the actual messages and conversations. And they also are saying, and I'm getting this all from More with MJ on Threads, shouting her out, and they're saying that they are responding to a $400 million lawsuit. And so they have a right to ask for all these details. And the truth is, if it's not a criminal case, but they need to protect themselves. And if they have nothing to hide, then they shouldn't have to fight back about asking all of this. Now, you guys know, don't get mad at me because you know I am very strongly a Justin Baldoni supporter through this case. as I have been throughout, but I'm just presenting the facts as we
Yeah.
will, because we don't believe, I think both Zack and I don't believe on hitching our wagon so strongly ever on anything. We shouldn't be like Ari Emanuel and be ride or die ever. These are not
Yeah.
our friends. We just go through what we believe, like from what we're presented, right?
All
So
right. Are we ready?
we're ready to get into it. I think we should.
Let's get into the mess of it all.
So we received yesterday 3 complaints that will be presented, we believe, in Blake Lively's updated complaint, amended complaint
Yeah.
on Tuesday. These
There
are
are three HR complaints that were filed to Sony from 3 actresses from the set of It Ends With Us. Now, there have already been some rumblings online, and I know that other creators have now gotten access to these documents, but there's a miscategorization of what these complaints actually are. Now, it's being said online that these are allegations of assault, SA, versus harassment, which is SH. And we'll break down the legal definitions and differences between harassment and assault. But first, I feel like we should just read through each of the complaints. We'll discuss the details and our own thoughts on them. Do you want to read the first one, Donna?
yes. Should I say who we know this is from, even though
Let's just
everything's
read
blacked
them.
out?
Let's read them. Yeah, a lot of it is redacted, but it's pretty clear that you can tell, in my opinion, right? This is our own conjecture and speculation, but it's pretty apparent, in my opinion, that we know who these 3 actresses are.
Or are we screen sharing or am I just reading?
I think we can screen share, right? Yeah, let's screen share
Let's
it
screen share. But
so that
I
people
think
can
you have to
actually
screen
see
share.
them. Yeah. Well, if you can pull it up on yours, do you have
Okay,
the?
hold on. I will share my screen. And then
And I can pull it up.
I think you have to change the windows.
There we go.
Okay. As you see, everything is redacted. It says, so we don't have the dates and we don't have anything. All we see is project director Justin Baldoni. Summary of complaint. Note, this is a summary of 3 reports filed by complainant. During the first filming, It Ends With Us, complainant noted several unsettling experiences with her collaborator, boss, and director Justin Baldoni. On blank, complainant was in her car with driver blank and Mr. Baldoni. He started talking about how he had been severely addicted to pornography and had had sexual encounters where he didn't take no for an answer or did not receive consent when asking for it, but he did not let that stop him. At this time, Blank's driver pulled over and insisted Mr. Baldoni exit the vehicle. She then advised Blank that her rear-facing dash camera had recorded the incident in its entirety. On Blank, Baldoni followed complainant to her trailer and was insisting that he had messages for her from her deceased father. When complainant declined, Baldoni became hostile and stated, "I thought you loved your dad." He then reappeared on set and advised the multiple crew and talent present that complainant must be dealing with hormones. On blank, complainant was filming a scene that was scripted to have her in a hospital gown. At a time when complainant was on set, dressed in the gown and ready to film, Baldoni stopped filming to relay to complainant that she should be nude in the scene. She stated it was not written or planned that way, was not included in the nudity rider, and that the intimacy coordinator was not present. Baldoni continued to pressure complainant to film nude, stating his wife had ripped her clothes off during childbirth. Note, this investigator viewed photos of both Baldoni's children's births and his wife was not nude. She wore a black sports bra and had her lower half covered at the time photos were taken after the births. At this time, Baldoni stated complainant was holding up filming and feeling pressured by her superior. Complainant agreed to be nude with a modesty strip over her genitals. As complainant disrobed, she asked Mr. Baldoni to turn the monitors off so that her naked butt wouldn't be broadcast to the casting crew. He turned them off, then asked complainant to look at a script note. While she was looking at it, Baldoni quickly flipped the monitors back on. Complainant then realized she was being broadcast nearly nude to all the set monitors and every crew phone and iPad that was synced in. She requested a blanket and was ignored. She addressed Baldoni directly and said, "Get me something to cover myself," in a raised tone of voice. Complainant's assistant then walked on set, and complainant, in tears, yelled to her, "Please cover me." And assistant threw her coat over complainant. At this time, a man complainant did not recognize came on set, and Baldoni stated this was his friend and would be playing the doctor. Complainant, being nearly nude and already vulnerable, did not want the stranger between her bare legs up in stirrups where he could clearly see her butt. Baldoni sighed and rolled his eyes and yelled, "Hold on, everyone. Let's see if blank wants to hold up filming again." Feeling extremely uncomfortable, complainant finished filming the scene with Baldoni's friend despite her misgivings.
So I think it's pretty clear that this is information that's not new. I think it's pretty obvious that this is from Blake
Blake.
Lively. This is Blake's complaint. Again, we
This
don't
is
know that it's
one
fact,
of
but we
3
believe
complaints, guys.
from 3 different people. So we decided to start with Blake because this one, I think we've already seen this one presented. There is apparently footage of this. I'm assuming once these complaints come forth, Baldoni's team will likely reveal the footage that will debunk this. Now, there are a lot of things that are retracted and a lot of other details that we'll get into, but let's read the second one. Let's get through all 3 of the complaints first, and then Dawn and I will break down what we think of each of them. So the second one, do we have that one?
Yeah, do you want me to pull it up?
Yeah, put it on the screen, and then I'll read this one.
Hold on one second.
Because a lot of the info is, as you can see in these complaints, redacted. Dates are redacted, complaints are redacted, locations redacted, results of the investigations
switch it
are
over.
redacted. Okay, so here's the second one. This says summary of complaint. Complainant states she became uncomfortable with Justin Baldoni yesterday while filming. She states Mr. Baldoni put his bare hands on her butt and said that he was trying to help her posture. Complainant immediately voiced her displeasure with being touched on an intimate part of her body, and Mr. Baldoni responded with, "It's fine. I'm totally hot for my wife," in a dismissive tone. Complainant relayed to Mr. Baldoni that it did not matter what his relationship with his spouse was like, that he did not have permission to touch her inappropriately. Baldoni then responded, "Oh no, better go see HR," to which complainant replied, "I will." Approximately 3 hours later, Baldoni approached complainant and stated that he was sorry that they got off on the wrong foot. Complainant stated, she replied, you got off all right, but it had nothing to do with your feet," and walked away from Baldoni. Complainant's agent provided text messages from complainant, including one sent approximately 18 minutes after the incident, wherein complainant said, "Justin Baldoni just literally grabbed my ass in front of the camera. I want to talk to someone at Sony like now." And if you notice at the end of this filing, there is an action taken. So in comparison to the first one that we read that we believe was by Blake Lively, this second complaint that we're reading has action taken that the first one did not, but it is all redacted. So we don't know which action came as a result of this. And so we believe, based off of the information provided here, this is Jenny Slate's HR complaint that was filed to Sony. And then we have one more from a third stick to script writing. Now we have a third one from a third actress on the set. And this one we believe is probably the most damning. But what's interesting about this second one is that they have text messages and there was action taken. So it appears there was some sort of remedy to that situation. But let's pull up the third one.
Hold on.
And we'll give you our opinion because obviously, like, this information, we'll have to see what the public's reaction will be. But it's
And you guys, yeah, I mean, we're going to talk about it in just a minute. Like the comments are wild right now, and
Yeah.
I'm reading your guys' comments, and like you're getting mad at us. But some of you guys are getting mad at us. But we're just
you don't
sharing
even
with
know,
you.
and you don't even know how we feel about these messages yet, because
Yeah.
Dawn and I have discussed them at length, and we have a lot of thoughts and a lot of pieces that I love to spot red flags. So we'll get into that in just a sec. Okay, and here's the third one. Do you want to read this one?
I'll read this one. Summary of complaint. Complainant is clearly traumatized in her verbal account of incident. Director Justin Baldoni approached complainant and asked her to speak privately. He asks complainant if she has ever had an orgasm on camera. She asks why this is necessary to know since a climax is not scripted in the scene. Baldoni then leans close to complainant's face and whispered, I think we should go ahead and add it in. Show me what you got. Complainant did not feel she had the authority to decline. Complainant told Baldoni she did not want to do the scene. He told her she couldn't hold up filming by refusing. Complainant began improvising the scene, making what she perceived to be noises of a sexual nature. Baldoni placed either of his hands on complainant's outer thighs and stated, come on, you can do better than that. Baldoni's face was so close to complainant's that she could feel his breath, causing her face to mist up. Baldoni then closed his eyes for several moments and stated, I'm allowed to say this because my wife knows what I think about a good climax. And winks at complainant, then said, you know how hot this is, right? Then Baldoni asks complainant to practice the scene again. This time, Baldoni positioned himself only inches from complainant, and complainant stated she needed a restroom break. Baldoni kept his hands on her outer thighs, virtually locking her in place virtually locking her in place in a very intimate embrace, she relayed. Complainant's blank then arrived on set, and complainant waved her over, at which point Baldoni broke the embrace. Complainant states he was so close to her for so long, his breath on her face necessitated her makeup needing to be redone.
And we can see in this complaint, there was also an action taken, and the action taken is redacted. Now, on that note, though, I did speak to somebody that works in HR and has a history in HR, and he was telling me that it's common to have the action taken redacted in a complaint like this because whatever the action taken is supposed to remain confidential. So now that we've presented all three, and I'm seeing the live chat, and many people are saying that they believe this third complaint to be from Isabella, who played young Lily in this It Ends With Us. So this is the newest name to come forth with an actual formal complaint that was filed with Sony, not with Wayfair, but with Sony. So now we have one that we believe is Blake Lively, a second one that we believe is Jenny Slate, and this third one we believe is Isabella.
Okay. So immediately upon receiving these, we were like, ooh, what the F? Okay. Mm-hmm. Because your first thought when you receive this is bad. This is so bad for Justin. And then you take a beat, right? And if you guys are Daily Dose of Donna fans, you know, Gilded Age, my hater in my comments told me, take a beat, Donna, take a beat.
Yeah. And so when we first read them, and then we're texting each other, we're like, oh my God, did you see that? And then we're like, let's get on the phone. And then we got on the phone and reread them together. And then we're like, okay,
we said,
let's take a beat. Let's read this again. And not in my Blake Lively, no teeth, sexy voice either. We read it very objectively.
So the thing is number one, we're not 100% sure that these are even real. They look real. They feel real, but we don't know, and we're not sure until Tuesday. We both got them from two different sources.
Mm-hmm. And I got a second source that sent them again to me this morning.
Exactly. And so now we know that they're circulating. But in this day and age, until they come from Blake Lively on Tuesday or her camp, we can't confirm. But they look real and they feel real, and they say SPE.Sony on the top. And you have to take that kind of stuff seriously. And we thought if we bring this to you guys now and we can kind of like work through it right now, we don't all have to be like freaked out when it comes out on Tuesday and the media goes crazy and says, look, Justin is a perv. Justin is the worst, because we all know how these things work. Blake Lively in her camp, when she came out with the complaint on December 21st, totally spun us all for a loop.
Mm-hmm. The wording, right? The way that it was worded. And I think, and this is what I remember mentioning to Donna at that time, I was like, what most people don't realize is in a lawsuit, you can claim anything. And so with an HR complaint, you can claim anything. And that's typically where an investigation begins. And the person that I spoke to in HR, he was telling me there's usually a third party, especially with a company as big as Sony, a third party that has to do an investigation. So go ahead. Sorry, I didn't mean to cut you off.
No, you're good. You're good. So on December 21st, when I read the New York Times article and when I read her complaint, I was like so sad for her. And I was so taken aback by Justin's actions. Zack wasn't. Zack saw right through it, but I was taken aback. So this reminds me of that because the wording of this, and specifically, can we share the screen again back to Isabella's complaint?
Yes.
This
What we believe is
wording, and
Isabella's
if you look
complaint.
at this, the makeup, the breath on the face necessitated
That
her
was the
makeup needing to
craziest
be
part.
redone. Let's talk
That
about
was the
that.
craziest part. Like, I mean, any skilled makeup artist, any makeup artist that's actually good at their job on a film set, somebody's breath is not going to be able to smear or ruin your makeup enough that it would have to be retouched, right? Like, they're putting makeup on your face so that it stays on for hours while you're shooting these scenes.
I think a lot of it feels very over dramatized. It feels very overwritten. So like it makes me wonder, is this a real complaint? Did ChatGPT write this and someone put it out there to try to like mess up with Blake Lively's case or to try to throw Justin for a loop? Here's another thing that I start to think of. Ari Emanuel, Ryan and Blake's agent, who just spoke out very publicly on Friday, is one of the most powerful people in Hollywood. And Ryan and Blake are still very powerful people in Hollywood. And Blake Lively and Isabella specifically. Let's just like play the Isabella card for a few minutes because Isabella Farah was very much citing or very much comfortable and vocal about how comfortable she was working with Justin throughout production. Right? We just pulled that up earlier. If you guys remember, Justin Baldoni and Isabella Farah, this was her first movie. She was 24. It was her first movie. And the day that she finished filming with Justin, she wrote him a text message. Do we have the date?
But before we get to those text messages though, or before we get into each of them deeply, what I want to reference, first of all, I just want to say that Ari Jacob is messaging me right now. She's watching us live. She said she's watching us live, and she said, remember that there was no actual allegations of harassment until the lawsuit was filed. I'm watching you guys on screen right now. Friedman would likely not lie like this publicly, but just know that Friedman said there were no allegations of harassment until the CRD. Number one. But number two, the red flags in these complaints, which I'll pull up again, immediately just looking at this before even reading each of the details, to me, red flags are one, the date that the complaints were filed, redacted. For all we know, this could have been filed last week, and which would be huge, right? So that's a big one. And number two, if you look at the top of these complaints, you can see that these HR complaints were filed with Sony, not filed with Wayfair. And this was a big red flag when the New York Times article came out, because this stuck out to me, because I asked Donna, I was like, why would she not be naming Sony in this? Because technically they would be the ones that would be responsible because they're the big boss.
Yeah, if you go after Sony, if you go to Sony with this complaint and they didn't do anything about it, Sony should be the problem here.
Exactly. And I remember that was what Bethany said when she first reported on it when the New York Times article complaint came out. She said, what is the intention? Is it money? Because if it's money, you're not going to sue some unknown director, Justin Baldoni. Like, he's known kind of like as a, C-level actor that was on Jane the Virgin, but like nobody really knows him as a director. He doesn't have the power in Hollywood that, let's say, like a Harvey Weinstein would have, right? So when it comes to filing the HR complaint with Sony, she said, like, Wayfair came out and said that there were no HR complaints that they had. But based off of the original allegations that were made, they claimed that they didn't file with Sony because Sony was merely the distributor. Sony had no real authority over what was going on the set and couldn't actually take any control or power, which is conflicting to some of these newer allegations that we have. So to me, the fact that these complaints are filed with Sony and not with Wayfair tells me that Sony then should have been brought into this in this lawsuit from the get-go, because technically, if you're filing the complaint with Sony, they have the responsibility to protect you and keep you safe, right? We also don't have any filings or any complaints that were made, from what we know, to SAG, which I know was a big point that Donna made. She's like, why didn't they go to SAG? Like, what, SAG would have immediately done something. And again, this isn't just Blake Lively. Now it appears Jenny Slate and Isabella have been brought into this as well. So we have three different people that now claim to have three different allegations that, to me, very strange, right? And so redacted dates, huge red flag. And then the filing with Sony, huge red flag. And then third, there's a content creator that's been reporting about these. And this person is claiming that these are allegations of SA, which is assault, not SH. Whereas Jacob already came in and she said, remember, there were no allegations of SH prior to the lawsuit. That was never mentioned. And if you go through Blake Lively's list of 30 different items, there was never really a strong complaint of like, I was SH'd, right? But now there's this miscategorization of claiming that these three things are considered assault and not harassment. So I made sure Donna and I looked at, okay, well, what is the legal definition of harassment versus assault and what are the differences? So I'll just read you the two definitions that we have of assault and then harassment. So assault is defined as a crime that involves non-consensual sexual contact. It includes touching, penetration, or other sexual acts. Assault can be accompanied by force, threat, or coercion. Right? Elements of assault, there needs to be consent. The victim must not have given consent. There needs to be force. The perpetrator uses force, threat, or intimidation to coerce the victim. And then there's 3, incapacitation. The victim is unable to consent due to being unconscious, intoxicated, or some sort of mental ability. So those are the 3 elements that are necessary for assault. Then we have harassment. Harassment is defined as unwelcomed conduct based off of sex or gender that can be verbal, physical, or nonverbal, and it can include offensive sexual comments, unwanted touching, or requests for favors. And so examples of harassment could be unwelcomed advances, requests for favors, offensive jokes, showing pornography, including inappropriate touching, subtle pressure, or suggestive gestures, notes, teasing, jokes, etc., or attempts to kiss or fondle. So there's a big difference here, right? And based off of my personal opinion, based off of these 3 items, it does not appear that either of these fall under the legal or formal definition of assault. I don't know if you feel differently. To me, they could, okay, fine, you squint your eyes and tilt your head, you can say, okay, yes, that's assault, or sorry, not assault, that's harassment. But when it comes to assault, I don't think either of these claims match that definition.
No, I'm with you. I mean, the only one that feels a little bit like, listen, the only one I want to play a little devil's advocate, just being like a woman who feels a little bit uncomfortable if all of this is true, right? Let's just
Right.
like play devil's advocate. If all of it was true and he did all of these things, which feel so out of character for Justin Baldoni, just really getting to know him in this case, like really deep diving who he is as a person, talking to so many of his prior friends and people that have worked with him in the past, and just kind of getting to know his traits. So many of these things feel so out of character, but just putting myself in like Isabella Farah's shoes and imagining if she was sitting there and this actually happened, if it's a very uncomfortable position, and I feel for her if that is actually the case. But the way that a lot of this is written is so inflammatory. And when you look at like the Jenny Slate moment and how he grabbed her butt with his bare hands, like when you see things
Allegedly.
like that, well, I mean, what do you expect? That he's wearing mittens? He's a director. And
Yeah.
he was clearly, if it's true, and by the way, it says it's in front of cameras. So clearly we have footage to refute that if possible. And then he says, well, you should call HR. Clearly it sounds, again, context, just like you smell good. Context is needed. And then you also have to hear, how many times are you and I joking around, oh, believe women, LOL. Like we're talking about a lot of things in context. It's very important. I don't know exactly, is that assault? Is that considered assault because he
And
touched her body to direct her body in a scene?
but also to clarify, because people are saying she wasn't naked in the film. She was not. So to clarify, when they say bare, they're saying his hands were bare, not she was clothed.
She was
So
fully clothed.
fully
But like
clothed,
he
but
doesn't
also
walk around with like
with mittens.
mittens
With-
while he's directing a scene. But it says his bare hands on her body. It sounds like he is naked and she is naked.
Yeah, which is not true. And again, so the Jenny Slate one does have the text message that she allegedly sent to
Her agent.
her assistant, or her agent rather,
Which we should see.
Right. But and even if the text message, is real or whatever, that is a piece of evidence, but also the more damning piece of evidence is going to be the footage. And this HR complaint claims that there is footage of this. And so very similar to how Blake Lively said that he smelled her and told her that she smelled good, but there was no audio. And then we had the raw footage. And anybody that watched that raw footage and you look at it objectively, it does not match the way Blake Lively presented that in her complaint in regards to him smelling her. She says, "Oh my God, my spray tan, which must smell," which anybody that has a spray tan, any spray tan, regardless of the brand or a self tanner or a professional, it has this, it's the chemical that they use. It has this very specific smell that makes you kind of feel like you smell gross. So I understand her insecurity about that. But when she opened it up with that and he's like, "Don't worry about it, it smells fine," or "It smells good," it's very different from how she categorized it of like, he came up and he smelled me. Like it was just.
I also want to say something really fast about the so Ari Jacob is messaging with me as well, and she pulled up when Brian Friedman was on Megyn Kelly a few months ago, like 2 months ago, I think, and he spoke about the HR complaints. She actually sent a clip that we can share, and she has it exactly queued up about HR complaints. And he said specifically that there were no HR complaints. So this
Right.
is weird. If there were HR complaints, do you think we can share the screen?
Yes. Well,
Again,
to on that note, they claim
yeah.
that there were no HR complaints that were filed to Wayfair, but we're now seeing that these complaints were filed to Sony, which again was
Oh, shoot,
strange that
sorry.
Sony wasn't brought into this before. Okay, let's pull this clip up.
Okay, hold on.
Thank you,
I
Ari.
think it's exactly where it's supposed to be queued. Let's watch.
Well, remember that there was actually no allegation of sexual harassment until the lawsuit was filed. I mean, that's when the allegations of sexual harassment came up. They didn't come up before them.
Well, there was in a
And
17-point memo that you referenced. She was raising some of these issues.
Well, that's right. But I mean, in terms of the public, she raised them in the 17-point memo. They had agreed to 17 points that they would agree that they were simple points that everybody would go back and she would return to work. There's a signed document saying they worked things out. In the actual lawsuit itself, it says everything went fine from then on. So, and the question really is, why was Crisis PR brought in? Crisis PR was brought in because there were negative stories about Justin that were being leaked to the media, not about sexual harassment. There were negative stories about Justin being brought in saying no one likes him. He's been a problem on set. Stories like that. And Crisis PR was brought in to say, this won't be good for the film. Crisis PR was also brought in because there were negative stories about Blake Lively, not that Justin created, but that existed out there. I mean, fans and media can be brutal. They go back through your history. They go back and look and say, what interviews have you given before? How have you treated people? How, are you promoting the film in a way where you're promoting your hair care products and in a way that's not true and genuine as far as domestic violence is concerned? They go back and they see those videos. They bring them out organically. That's not Justin doing that. That's not Justin's Crisis PR doing it. In fact, what he wants is a successful movie. He wants to protect the movie. And all through the text messages, you'll see over and over and over again, him saying, I don't want to hurt her. I want to protect her. Let's give her what she wants. Let's help her. That's what he's doing.
Yeah.
Yeah. So this all seems a little fishy. I think that it's very odd and very dangerous. I'm going to say this publicly. Very dangerous that content creators that have been very pro Blake are putting words out there, like 3 actresses are going to come out and claim
assault.
sexual assault
Because like that's big. There's a big difference between assault and harassment. And the other dangerous part about that specific creator is that specific creator also has a license, is a doctor. And the part that's concerning for me is people will take that legitimately, right? When if anything, that person should have the utmost credibility in a situation like this, but yet is miscategorizing things in a way that is so inflammatory that for me is scary, because not only are you making these allegations against Baldoni and you're putting that information out there, but you're also flexing your credentials, which if you misrepresent the information, to me, that invalidates your credibility.
So basically, what we're doing here is we're saying that if these documents are circulating out there to kind of discredit Justin and to kind of put it out there and to put things into people's heads that Justin is out there assaulting women on set, like groping and grabbing and stuff, as two people who have been fairly, I think pretty fair looking at the case on both sides and really try to look at the evidence on both sides. I think this was our goal here, is to show you guys what is being circulated with creators behind the scenes. Multiple creators, I believe, are getting these kinds of documents and trying to say, what is the goal here? Is it real? And if it is real, if this is real and this is going to be presented on Tuesday, what is the goal? And would this be actually something that Justin would do? And why? Why would they even try to do that? And et cetera, et cetera. And I believe, in my opinion, looking at Justin's past behavior, he has never, ever had allegations like this, ever on a set before, ever, until he worked with Blake Lively.
Yep. And suddenly we have 3 of them. And so this is where, let's get back to Isabella, because even though, Don and I both agreed that Isabella's is the most damning. That's like the one, I mean, touching of the butt, we don't know, was it the lower back, and obviously there was some sort of remedy, and like nothing came of that. There are no other allegations that we believe had come from Jenny Slate after that, right? And it seems like maybe they just didn't get along, and it was a clash of personalities, and this was just one of the things that kind of sprinkled that distance between Baldoni and Jenny. But when it comes to Isabella, now hers does seem like the biggest smoking gun in all of this. One, her name hasn't really been circulated, and we haven't gotten these specific details, which I know Donna and I have already said. The breath ruining her makeup, like his breath being on her face so much so that it ruined her makeup, or the makeup had to be redone as a result. But that was very strange. And like, because I mean, breath doesn't do that to your makeup, but I mean, in some cases, a professional makeup artist, Rain, wouldn't even be able to do that to your makeup, because they have to make sure your makeup stays on for hours. But on top of that, that instance is the only one. Like, Blake's was caught on camera, Jenny's was caught on camera, allegedly, or her allegations were caught on camera. But when it comes to Isabella, that's the only one that we have no other evidence to support outside of that one. Really is a he said, she said situation.
It's private.
And it's private. It's in a private room. It's just between the two of them. But the interesting thing, and Donna and I went back and we dug up the information that Isabella put out, or that was put out about Isabella and her relationship with Justin Baldoni, where we have 2 separate instances where she praises Justin Baldoni and talks about what a great experience she had with Baldoni. And so the first one is, so timeline wise, we have text messages and we have an interview that she gave. And so let me pull this up really quickly. So the first one is a text message following so the date of this message looks like it's what is that? This looks like May 2023. Justin Baldoni said, "You did awesome today. So happy to be working with you." She said, "Thanks so much. I'm excited. Thank you for being a great director and being so wonderful to work with. For being so wonderful to work with already. Let me know whenever you need me for anything." And then Baldoni responds, so kind, more to come. You're going to kill it. Okay. This was in May, and and then she loved the message. Then we have another message from her in June. Hold on. Let me actually pull it up on my phone, because I feel like my computer is being a little wonky. But so the message in June says, "Hey, I just got my film developed from when we were shooting. So here's this sweet pic. I also have to say thank you so much for an incredible experience on my first film. I still can't shake the feeling of it all because it truly was a life-changing experience for me. You are such a wonderful, smart, and sincere director, and you created such a comfortable, safe space for me to feel like I could fully step into this role. I couldn't have asked for a more welcoming environment. It will stay with me for the rest of my life. See you soon, whether in the fall or later, and hope you're doing well. Smiley face X. And then she included a photo. So this is from June. So we have a text message from May when she was doing this scene, and then we have a text message at the end of her portion of production on the film where she thanks him and says that she had such an incredible experience working with him. Now, on top of that, in Baldoni's timeline that was released on the website, what's the website called? The lawsuitinfo.com. So in the timeline, there is an excerpt from, it's an EPK interview. And so what happens on these film sets is in between production, the actors will sometimes be pulled to give press interviews. And then those press interviews and those bites are then used to promote the film once they complete production. But it's more of just like, we have everybody here, they're on set, let's do this, let's film some of these interviews now. So this is an interview from Isabella Farah, June 22nd, 2023. So this is, again, all during production. So this says that she participated in an on-set EPK interview designed for use in the film's promotional campaign. Below are questions and Isabella's responses, focusing on her experience on set and her thoughts on working with Baldoni. So we already have the first text message from the date of filming. We have the second text message from post-production, and then now we have this interview. And the question asked of Isabella is, let's just get a couple of seconds of tone. All right, okay, ready. What is the most rewarding part of being on It Ends With Us set? So they're just asking her about her experience on set, and this is her response. She said, "At least for me, this is one of my very first projects. So I think working with professionals that have been doing this for a really long time, but also who are so open. The crew and Justin," she names Justin specifically, "the crew and Justin and all the actors that I've worked with have just been so open and welcoming. I've never felt belittled in any sort of way. I think just being able to come into set and feel seen and heard and feeling immediately comfortable and being able to just go in to do what I do and not having any anxiety or worries about how I might be, or I just feel very accepted, I think." So she didn't need to name Justin specifically, but in reference to the crew and in reference to all the actors that she worked with, she names Baldoni specifically and talks about what a great experience she had on set being one of her first films. So those are three different statements that are made from Isabella that prove that her experience on set was a positive one.
The whole thing seems sus. Isabella's gone MIA since this entire experience. Obviously, she definitely chose Team Blake, as did the rest of the cast. What I found was yeah.
Well, hold on, one more thing. You're right. She did go MIA, but the last that we heard of her was a year later. So everything that we just read was from summer 2023. Now we get to June 2024, and this is when they have Book Bonanza. And so it was Blake Lively, Colleen Hoover, Brandon Sklenner, and Isabella all attended to promote the film at Book Bonanza. Okay, but here it's noted in the timeline of relevant events on Baldoni's website. It says Wayfair was only made aware that Brandon and Isabella would be in attendance the day of the event. So they didn't even know that Brandon and Isabella were going to be attending this with Blake and Colleen. And then it says Sony later notified Wayfair that it was Lively who reached out to Brandon and Isabella and paid for their travel and for their lodging. So Blake flew them out there, covered based off of this, claim in the timeline. Blake Lively is the one that brought them there. So we also have seen that Blake in the past has tainted cast members. There was just recently this week, I think, or earlier this week, there was an old Glamour magazine, UK Glamour magazine, that came out from 2009, where she admitted to trying to poison the cast against Penn Badgley when he first came onto the set of Gossip Girl. We also know that Armie Hammer has come out since then, and he's talked about how Blake Lively had him fired from the set of Gossip Girl. So we've seen that these things are a pattern of behavior with Blake Lively. And somebody also told me, I don't know if this is true or not, or confirmed, maybe somebody can verify that Penn Badgley follows Justin Baldoni on Instagram, but does not follow Blake Lively. Now, somebody please look into that and confirm.
No, it's true.
Whether
They're
that's true or
both of
not,
the
but-
Baha'i faith.
Okay.
This is not like a shocking thing, I think, for anyone that's been following the saga, that Blake Lively has this kind of MO. And I think that, I also found this really interesting, and I have to show you guys. I sent Zack some pictures earlier, right before we started. I sent Zack pictures of the difference of Isabella in 2023 versus 2024. I wish I could make it a little bigger. Hold on, let me see if I can make it bigger. It's kind of here, share the screen. It's a little, this is her in 2023. She's like a little plain Jane girl. She's very cute. She was very sweet. And this is when they first kind of started working together, and they were photographed together. And then in 2024, when they were doing, obviously, their press tour, here, you can, how do I get this one? Hold on. She became like Blake's mini-me. And I find it so interesting. Here, can you get this one? I don't know. It's a really bad quality picture because I just saved a really small one. But she became like her little mini-me. And when I was out to dinner last night talking to my husband, who's kind of like peripherally following this, he was saying, it's interesting. It's almost like a little grooming. Like, I hate to say it like that, but this is a 24-year-old girl who just started in this industry. And who's to say, and I'm not really sure if this is her complaint or not. We actually have no confirmation that is Isabella's complaint.
That's our own speculation. Some people, and some people in the live chat were saying that they believe the first and third complaints were likely Blake.
It could be.
It could be. I mean, to me, it sounded more like Isabella rather aside from Blake, but I mean, it is within the realm of possibility that this is a second, that third complaint that we read is a second complaint from Blake Lively. Again, we don't have that full confirmation. This is purely our speculation and conjecture.
It could be. I just can't imagine Blake Lively sitting in a room privately with Justin while he's allowing her, if this is the truth, where she's allowing him to touch her outer thighs face to face, asking her, breathing heavily into her face, asking her to make orgasm sounds. Like, it all seems so unbelievable. And also, this is a man, like, I don't know, everything about it just feels so out of character. This is a man that is like not someone that has allegations like this. And do you see in the live chats we're all saying the third complaint is Blake, not Isabella? I mean, look, it could be
what?
It could be Robin Lively. We don't know who it is.
No, but there was something in it because we both had that takeaway that it was Isabella and not Blake. When we read it the second time.
Because we're also hearing three actresses.
Oh, you're right. That's part of what the information that was being put online publicly is that there are three different actresses. But there was something that was written in that. Go ahead, and I'm going to reread this and see if I can spot there was a wording in the complaint that to me.
Look, I'm just going to put myself in it. Okay, the reason why I'm going to focus on Isabella and Jenny. We know that Blake obviously has it out for Justin, and she's very anti-Justin, and she's ready to go after Justin for sexual harassment. We definitely know that. She already sued him for this. Now, Jenny and Isabella are MIA in this case right now. We know that they've basically gone quiet since this lawsuit. We don't know where they stand. We assume they stand with, we know that Jenny has publicly stated that she stands with Blake. We don't know Isabella. I don't remember if Isabella has publicly stated anything, okay? Isabella is 100%, in my opinion, someone that easily, even though she sent those text messages to Justin, even though she has said publicly how amazing Justin was as a director, I can see no question in my heart. I can see and this is totally my theory, just because I know Hollywood and I know how sick this industry is. How easy I can see Ryan Reynolds sitting with Isabella. This is just a theory. Ryan Reynolds sitting with Isabella, maybe with Ari Emanuel, maybe with a William Morris team. Like, girl, stick with us. Whether it's with a complaint like this or whether it's, just be on our side here. You've got to say that it was an unsafe set. You have to say that it was an unsafe workplace. He was uncomfortable. He made you feel uncomfortable, et cetera, et cetera. Trust me when I tell you, you will have the best career of your damn life.
Yeah.
Justin Baldoni can't do ish for we can.
Yep.
How easy is that to be believed?
Yeah, absolutely. So I just reread the complaint and I tried to read it like 3 different times to see like what in this stood out to me that made me think it was Isabella. And it says that this person didn't feel like they had the authority to respond to Justin Baldoni. And then I believe, wasn't that referenced in Blake's initial complaint that there was the orgasm scene was something that ultimately Isabella ended up performing as young Blake, and Blake was bothered by that because she's like, this is supposed to be an underage character, even though Isabella is of age. But her issue was that Isabella shouldn't be performing these types of scenes because she.
There was something about how he said to her that was really hot after their sex scene.
Yes. And well, the other thing too is let's play devil's advocate and say that this is not Isabella and that it's Blake. Could you imagine this? Now let's picture this as Blake and Baldoni, right? Because again, we're trying to look at it from all angles because we don't have actual confirmation of who filed this complaint because everything's redacted. But if this was Blake and Baldoni and there are these rumors of an affair, who's to say that they weren't together privately acting out this scene together? Like if there were feelings, if there was some alleged affair going on between Blake and Baldoni, if they're engaging in this and suddenly they're playing this up together and maybe it's like a flirty interaction, that could also add context to this if this were Blake.
Totally.
They read that.
Who's to say the second? I read that yummy with that. Who's to say that the second one was even Jenny?
I mean, yeah, that too. We're just
the grabbing the butt. What if that was all Blake?
But also, I think this is what threw us off to make those assumptions, though, Donna, is the person that's putting the information out, or one of the content creators that was putting this out there was claiming that there were 3 different women, which then tainted our brains to just automatically, once we came across these, which is why it's so dangerous for people to be putting out information like that and to be reporting it as facts. Like we're coming here and saying, we're not reporting this as fact. We're just saying this is information that we received. These are our thoughts about this, and these are our theories and our own speculation since we've been reporting on this case. So, but again,
You're
for people to be going out.
Honestly, Zach, you and I are the first to say when we feel like we've been wronged or when we're wrong.
Yeah.
Okay. I'm the first to tell you when I was like Team Blake and then I changed and whatever. I 100% believe that I got these documents and I was like, well, I just heard that 3 actresses are going to claim sexual assault. So I was like, it's got to be Blake, Jenny, and Isabella.
Yeah.
Because of that viral TikTok.
And I think we were intentionally led to believe these things so that we can report it that way. But unfortunately, Donna and I don't play by the book that people tell us to play by. We do our own thing. And that's why we're here talking through these theories with you. Right?
Independent thinkers, party of 2.
So, I mean, and again, we don't even know the legitimacy of these things. Like, for all we know, these could be intentionally planted by Blake Lively's legal team. And that's why multiple creators are getting access to these documents. Because I've now received these documents twice from 2 different people.
Yeah. And like, why are they being sent out? Like, these should be under lock and key.
Yeah. Yeah. And also,
so do they want to be coming out to muddy the waters?
I believe so. And then to redact the data filing, I think is a giant red flag. Redact the details that disclose who the person is. Fine. But the date of filing, having that redacted, to me is the biggest thing that I'm like, why would we need that to be private?
No,
like that should not be.
The date is everything. If you
And
don't have a
again, why?
date, then you don't have. It's like if the gloves don't fit, what is it? A quit? Wait, if
Yeah, if the glove doesn't fit, it quit.
a quit? That's a word.
Yeah,
A quit.
if the judge doesn't, yeah, if the glove doesn't fit, it quit.
If there ain't a date, see you later.
Mm-hmm.
That's how it feels, because it's like if you don't have a date, then I can't put it in the puzzle. We need it to fit in the timeline here.
Exactly.
So let's just say that
And
none of
also,
these are real, and these are
yeah,
all
go
fake.
ahead.
Fake news. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
What could Blake bring us on Tuesday that would get us to believe her about sexual harassment or assault?
I don't think she has anything, to be honest with you. And also, so I just did, so Albertson and Davidson, Dave Law, they have a YouTube channel. They were covering this case. I just did their YouTube channel. I think it's called Ask Two Lawyers. And so I was asking two lawyers on their show about this case
Wow, you
specifically.
follow
And they
directions.
said, and they told me, because I asked them, I was like, listen, if you guys had a case like this and you had someone like Blake Lively that was your client and she's telling you one thing and then there's evidence coming out to contradict those claims. And they said, we've been put in positions before where our client tells us one thing and then the evidence very obviously refutes what the claims and allegations are. And then we're kind of put in this really awkward position. And I was like, okay, well, legally, what is your strategy? And they said, one, we tried to settle and like privately, quietly, just like make this go away. And two, the other strategy is they try to throw so much dirt onto the table to make everything so muddy and messy and confusing that people can't tell the difference of what's real and what's not. And the whole point is to make it so confusing that nobody understands or cares about what the truth is anymore.
Yeah, and then also it messes with a lot of us women, and I'm not gonna I don't want to generalize this, but as a woman, and especially as a woman, if you are a survivor or a victim of any sort of, assault or sexual harassment or anything, it really F's with you to read things like this. Because I was speaking to a couple women yesterday who were like, this really like digs at me and it makes me feel very uncomfortable and I don't like it. And it makes me want to hate Justin right off the bat when I see stuff like this. So it does, like, if you're just looking at it, like I was saying it the other day, if you just watch the Today Show and you just see a 2-minute clip and you just hear, hey, Blake, it's Justin, and it's 2 a.m., you immediately hate Justin Baldoni. Or if you just see these letters, like if someone just tuned into our YouTube and just watched 5 minutes of it when we were reading that first complaint, they immediately think Justin Baldoni is a creep. So this is the truth. You have to watch and see everything. And unfortunately, this is the case, is like, you can't do it in drips and drabs. You got to see all of the pieces together because there's too much being thrown at us that is trying to sway us. And I worry that there's people out there that are trying to leak shit like this that I don't believe yet can be proven as confidently. Now we'll see on Tuesday if this is actually part of this complaint. And maybe the dates won't be redacted and maybe there will be more information.
Yep.
And why was Sony not named? Why was Sony not named in the lawsuit if she, in fact, did file HR complaints?
Oh, okay. So the complaints are now circulating online. It looks like Leanne
Because of
Newton
us?
and Colonel Kurtz. Well, 10 minutes ago, they were published online. Well, I think now that we've come out with it and we've revealed them, now other people that probably
Where are
also
you seeing
received
it?
them
Where are you
on
seeing it?
X. On X, Leanne Newton just posted. She said, "Thank you, Colonel Kurtz." So maybe it looks like Colonel Kurtz is the one that released these.
Someone show me, tell me.
Yeah. Colonel Kurtz posted them on X. Posted
So that means
these three complaints.
So that means other creators are also getting it as well.
Yes. And so, but here's the interesting thing, this Leanne Newton person, because these screenshots that they shared are not the same screenshots that we shared. And I can tell based off of the versions I have and the versions you have and the versions that are in this, these are different, the same document, different screenshot, but they're also asking the same questions. They also believe that it's Blake Lively, Jenny Slate, and Isabella Farah, but they have questions too.
We have
Why are the
Candace
dates
Owens in the chat.
Do we?
Yeah.
Oh, wow.
That's,
I mean, listen, I'm pretty sure. I mean, Candace, I feel like we've been absolutely in alignment with how she's viewed this as well. That I'm pretty sure she's going to call these for what they are as well. This is a PR tactic to try and sway the public. And I think these are deliberately being leaked to us creators so that we can run with this and so that we can present it as fact because it looks damning, right? But also when Blake Lively's initial complaint first came out, that also looked damning. And that's why I was like, wait a minute, we don't have any actual factual evidence to back this up, right? And so what people forget, what people don't realize is in a civil complaint or in a civil lawsuit, you can claim anything and you also have protection. So this is what I discussed with those two lawyers the other day as well, that when you put something in a legal document like the CRD complaint or like the lawsuit, you have protection, you have litigation protection, which means you can't be sued for defamation, right? So that's a tactic that people use to try and, I'm not accusing Blake Lively of this, but I'm just saying that's a tactic that some people like to use to defame other people and know that they can't be held, responsible for defamation because it's in a lawsuit and it's in a legal filing. And so you have that litigation protection. Now, the theory that these two lawyers presented to me, though, was that the litigation protection was lost when Blake Lively is the person that we believe leaked this to the New York Times. When that information hit the New York Times and it was published publicly with the CRD complaint being a confidential filing, that immediately blew up her litigation protection by making it public in the press.
Yeah, Candace says, nasty PR game. Why would you leave out complaints in your initial filing, and why not name Sony in your lawsuit? That's exactly what we just said. There's absolutely no reason, if this is actually true, if these are actually true complaints, why would you absolutely not put this in your full lawsuit at the beginning or in your full complaint? It feels fishy, it feels weird, and it feels like we're desperado. We're trying as hard as we possibly can to find anything, like paying off someone to corroborate and to help us out here because we're desperate for something. I mean, that's it. Collier Landry is also in the building. We've got a lot of people here. Hello, friends.
Yep. I feel like a lot of us, with the exception for a couple of those wackadoodles that are spreading this information and trying to present it as fact, it feels like a lot of us are kind of in alignment. And the pieces, I feel like when you use your critical thinking brain, like we're all seeing this for what it is, which is a game of PR more than a legal takedown.
Do you believe this is actually true coming from her camp? Or do you think this is a fake ChatGPT, fake news released by some crazy person trying to sway creators? Do you think these are real complaints?
Whether it's real or not, it has to be coming from her camp.
I agree.
It has to. Because I think and somebody in the live chat said, like, could this be them trying to test the waters to see how people would respond? Maybe. Or this could also have been a strong arm tactic to get Jenny Slate and Isabella to come forth publicly, right? Because once their names get outed and dragged into it. Well, actually, here's what I think happened. So I think that Jenny Slate was going to be their smoking gun in the amended complaint that was supposed to come out on the 14th. And then we had Be Better that went on TikTok and outed Jenny Slate's name. And the second he outed Jenny Slate's name, and then people dug up the old Anna Faris interview where she jokes about hitting her boyfriend. I think that completely discredited Jenny Slate. And so now they're trying to get Isabella as the next smoking gun that they have, because now there are 3 actresses. So even if Blake's not that credible because we've seen She's Lied, and Jenny's not that credible because she likes to beat her boyfriend allegedly, and then now we have Isabella, and like, how can you refute if that third complaint is Isabella? How can you refute that? He had his hands on her legs. He was in her face. He messed up her makeup with his breath. Like, it's such an egregiously written allegation that I think that was going to be their next smoking gun, and leaking this publicly would then force Jenny Slate and Isabella to speak out.
I just don't know why they think we're so stupid. I swear, I feel like this is really interesting. Daily Mail was sent them, TMZ was sent them, none chose to publish. That's so interesting. And I think it's because there's no dates on them. It feels fake, right? It feels fake. And the reason why is there's no, I feel like, honestly, Justin Baldoni his team would come after. And that's why we said in our thing that this is not like, we have no legal ability to, like, what did we say? Like, this is not, what was your
litigation
agenda?
protection?
What did you say at the very beginning? Like, this is not a legal document, like, or a legal video. This is entertainment purposes only.
Yeah, entertainment purposes only.
But at the same time, I feel like they're using such PR tactics from 1997. Like
Yeah.
even just their wording, they are treating this very, very theatrical. It feels very theatrical. Ari, these HR complaints might actually be scrap drafts of what Blake's team wanted to include, but legally couldn't.
Yeah, and I think that makes a very clear argument for why these weren't initially included in her CRD complaint, in her lawsuit, which again, from the beginning, that made no sense as to why she ended up filing the CRD complaint in California. But so I think that the strategy was she has the litigation protection because it's an illegal document that's filed in this CRD complaint in California. She was never expecting to bring forth the lawsuit. And then once Baldoni fought back, she had to file the lawsuit, but she ended up filing it as a federal case out in New York, which then would prevent, should this move to trial, would then prevent any it would prevent any cameras from even being in the courtroom. So it's real. It's, you know, an actual lawsuit now. But again, there are too many pieces that we're missing that, like, why would these pieces now be coming to light if she really does have the truth on her side?
But we talked about this earlier. Candace says this also. Sony told Variety that there was no HR complaints. Brian Friedman also just said on Megyn Kelly, we just watched that Variety, that there was absolutely no HR complaints. How can they get away with this now saying that there were HR complaints?
Well, no, they did say they did say that there were. So from what Blake said in the initial complaint, it was she tried to file an HR complaint, but she didn't know how. Suddenly she's a first-time actress in Hollywood and doesn't know how to file an HR complaint. She doesn't know how to reach out to SAG, the union that's supposed to protect actors on set. Suddenly she's like completely aloof to how to handle a situation like this, even though, as you reported a few weeks ago, there was the Gossip Girl incident where she had the makeup art. She tried to file a complaint against the makeup artist and had the makeup artist removed from the set for putting lipstick on her lip with his finger, and she felt that was inappropriate that he used his finger to put lipstick on her face. Or how dare a makeup artist use their bare hands, right? Remember, that's
so let's go back there, you guys. For anyone that doesn't remember this story, I reported on this in December. Okay, in December, Blake Lively had sued, or January 1st or something. I had said this. She knows how to file a sexual harassment complaint, and she should absolutely know the first thing you do is you go to your union. Okay, I'm a former casting director. I know this world too. You go to your union. Why was SAG not included in this at all? Someone had told me, someone that is in the know of this case said, yeah, she went to SAG and SAG told her to go to Sony. That is the biggest crock of BS ever. Your union should never push you away and say, no, go to your studio. This is crazy. Why are none of these people going to SAG? All of these people that experience bad behavior?
So she didn't go to SAG, and then she says that Sony rejected her and told her that she had to file the complaint at Wayfair. Wayfair says that they never got these complaints. They claim that there was only one HR complaint that was ever filed during the production of It Ends With Us, and it had nothing to do with Blake Lively or Justin Baldoni. It was two other, I believe they were crew members, and it was an issue of like ageism. And it was probably like some old dude that's like, this guy gets more privileges than I do because he's a young buck. And then they said that they investigated that and nothing ever materialized from that. So again, I don't think that she suddenly didn't know how to file a complaint. And it just, to me, it's also like none of her story adds up. And the more we dig into it and the more we actually look at it objectively and try to make sense of it, it continues to crumble.
Now, SAG did speak up. This is another interesting thing. I remember it was right around Christmas.
That's right.
It was right around Christmas. I was in Vegas and I was texting with some friends, and this was when I was pro Blake Lively for 6 days. And I got a text and they said, look, SAG spoke up for Blake Lively. It was right before Justin had sued the New York Times. And SAG was like, we stand with Blake Lively. That was a wild choice. That never happens. Why do you think?
Well, I just think it's the Me Too thing. Like, Hollywood is so performative. And I said this, when that first came out, that like, I think that you have to be in line with the accuser, right? Believe women, hashtag Me Too, hashtag Time's Up. Everybody wear black to the Oscars. So I think it's all about the performance. It's all about trying to make ourselves look good. And SAG and Blake Lively, two big known parties. It's like, of course they're the same reason the cast of Sister of the Traveling Pants look like fucking idiots when they released that statement in support of Blake Lively. Like everybody that came out to defend Blake, Brandon Sklenner, Colleen Hoover, Sisterhood of the Traveling Pants, all of them now look so dumb because they jumped the gun too early and immediately went to defend her. But it's also, and this is the issue with the mainstream media as well, because the way that they covered this story after the New York Times published it, they all said that Blake Lively was suing Justin Baldoni. And then we found out that because it was reported as a lawsuit, I remember people were then correcting me when I started covering, and they're like, it's not a lawsuit, it's a CRD complaint. And then I looked into it and I was like, oh, that's right. This is a CRD complaint. It's not a formal lawsuit yet. And it didn't become a formal lawsuit until Justin Baldoni sued the New York Times for defamation and promissory fraud.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm. I find the whole thing just so insane. It's just, it became so big and so, it was like people stood by their guns to support Blake really, really fast. Oh, let's talk really fast about Ari Emanuel. And I want to say this really, really quickly. Chef Stu is here too. Okay. Really quickly about Ari Emanuel. I thought of something about Ari and why he spoke out really strongly about Ryan and Blake the other day. I think he was in fear of losing his clients. The other day, did you remember when Ryan Reynolds posted a picture when he was with Brian Lord at a JP Morgan summit? Did you see that? Yeah. Ryan Reynolds all of a sudden posted a picture. It was the night of the Golden Globes or one of those nights. And he was with Brian Lord, who was the head of CAA, which is an opposing agency, one of the top agencies. He's at a JP Morgan summit, arm in arm with Brian Lord. Don't you think, in a weird way, that's a shout out saying, hey, agency, William Morris, look who I'm with. Stand up for me and start talking out and like protect me publicly because I'm about to jump ship. William Morris hadn't really said anything out loud to protect Ryan Reynolds and Blake Lively. They've been kind of silent in this like battle. And it's right now, it's kind of looking like Ryan Reynolds and Blake Lively weren't really getting protected publicly by their agent. And then all of a sudden, Ari Emanuel goes on Freakonomics and loudly is like, they are the best people that I've ever heard. And a little birdie, my little source, told me that Ryan Reynolds had a meeting in person with William Morris at the beginning of this last week. So I guarantee you he had like a stand-up meeting in a conference room saying, William Morris, get your ass on a podcast or publicly and show your support for me or else I'm jumping ship.
Also, just looking at the timeline of all of these pieces, we have the January 4th all hands meeting, and nowhere has it ever been mentioned or referenced when Ryan Reynolds allegedly went off and berated Justin Baldoni. Nowhere do we hear any reference or mention of any other cast member being there, which means Jenny Slate was not at this meeting and Isabella was not at this meeting. Why were they not there if these were allegations that were made and these HR complaints, because again, the dates are redacted of when they were filed, but if they were filed prior, right, when we have the messages from Isabella, which contradict, you know, this theory that she may be the third complaint, but why weren't they at the all hands meeting? If there were multiple women on the set of It Ends With Us that had these allegations, why were they not at the meeting? And then why did Ryan Reynolds feel it was appropriate to then make fun of all of this, considering how gross all of these allegations are? Why would Ryan Reynolds feel the need to go off and make that skit of Nice Pull in Deadpool? If this was as serious as they're trying to make it out to be, because people want to judge us and be like, you guys aren't taking this seriously. These are victims, yada, yada, yada. But like, why aren't you get mad at fucking Ryan Reynolds? He went out there and was trolling this and turned this into a circus with his Nice Pull skit.
He's laughing. He's laughing about this.
This is a predator.
It's so funny.
Multiple women.
Laughing. And he's laughing about it. And then also a video came out on TikTok just today about some guy who worked on Deadpool who was saying, yeah, it was so weird. Every time that they had to go to the bathroom, they'd say, I have to go drop a Baldoni. That's what they used to say about taking a poop. They called it a Baldoni. They're laughing about Baldoni. If he's that bad and that scary of a man and that much of a threat to the women, why are they making so much fun of him? You'd think they'd want to like tie him up and maybe take him off set to protect women.
they're treating him like he's a joke, which I'm sorry. I don't think many people were treating Harvey Weinstein like he was a joke because he was a real Hollywood predator. That Leslie Sloan, who represents Blake and Ryan, also used to represent Harvey Weinstein, defended him amid his scandal. So, to me, it's wild. It's ridiculous,
The
actually.
whole thing is very tough, and I mean, it's not really tough, but I will say, in terms of the smear campaign, that part, I'm very interested to see what she comes up with. I would be very interested to see if
Nothing.
with her subpoenas, if she comes up with some really crazy evidence and amazing stuff in terms of, what she finds with the texts and the redacted information, like that, I would be very interested. But in terms of actual, sexual harassment, let's talk about this, like the driver and the porn addiction conversation.
So that was strange because I remember when we first heard this story about Blake Lively and this driver that was present during one of these interactions. From what I remember, and again, this is purely my own recollection, Blake Lively had claimed that there was something that the driver overheard, and then when Mr. Baldoni exited the vehicle, the driver said, "I don't want you around that man alone." And that was the allegation initially. And now it seems that allegation has been blown up in this HR complaint, which all of these other new colorful details were not part of that originally. Where the driver, was suddenly
It's a lot
very
of
worried
details.
about.
It's like he has to get out of the car. They kick him out of the car. And then let's pull that one up again. If this is true. I mean, this is a really, really insane one. Hold on. How can I find it really fast? Here.
What are you pulling up?
The driver one.
Oh, from the HR complaint.
He'd been severely addicted to pornography. Okay, no big deal. But apparently, well, okay, it's not no big deal, I guess, to some people, but to me, it's like, by the way, and I just want to say, because I know she's here, my friend Molly is here in the live chat. She was at a hotel. I hope this is okay with her for me saying this, but she was at a hotel in New York and there's like a lot of people from Saturday Night Live currently in New York. And she said that she was hanging out in the lobby and like a bunch of the cast of Saturday Night Live was there. And she was just hearing them all chat, and they're all comedians, and they're all talking, and they're so funny, and they're all like making this like sexual humor and laughing together. And she's like, this is how actors and comedians, and this is how they all communicate. Like it's so wild how sensitive all of a sudden Blake Lively is, apparently.
Wait, we have this message. It says from MCH High Life, as a 10-year HR professional, no one can access confidential documents without a court order. Nonetheless, Blake Lively can't use them as part of her civil lawsuit unless the others are willing to come forward. I believe that this is leaked so that they're forced to come forward, number one. And number two, we've already seen this strategy with the CRD complaint, which was a confidential document that was leaked to the New York Times. We have the metadata and the URL from the media that was uploaded to the New York Times server that exposed that the article had been worked on well in advance to the December 20th date of filing the CRD complaint, which again, to me, breaks her litigation privilege. But go ahead with the point you were making about the driver in this complaint.
Oh, okay.
And Molly.
No, just like that it's like she became so sensitive all of a sudden for someone that jokes so much about her boobs and about, so many like grabbing her husband's butt on the red carpet of It Ends With Us. I mean, this is a woman that is like not such a prude. All of a sudden is so prudy on the set, I guess, but whatever. Yeah. So yeah, there's a rear-facing dash camera that recorded the entire incident. So I guess we should see it. But Baldoni was kicked out of this car and immediately had messages right after he was kicked out of the car, immediately went to her and said, "I thought you loved your dad." It makes no sense why he would say that weird. Right then. Does that make sense?
Well, I guess it was in relation to him claiming that he spoke to her father who had passed away. And I guess she didn't want to hear it. So that's why he's like, "I thought you loved your dad. You don't want to hear what your dead dad had to say?"
He would say that 5 seconds after being kicked out of her car for talking about porn?
Yeah, it doesn't make sense. It doesn't add up. But also notice that of the 3 complaints, this one does not have a result listed.
At the bottom? Well, it may have gotten cut off. We don't see anything under that bottom.
Maybe.
But yeah, it says, yeah, he was kicked out of the car, and then immediately, I thought you loved your dad. And then reappeared on set, told the crew that she must be dealing with hormones. What? So I guess other people have to say that that's true.
Yeah.
If he told many people that, then multiple crew and talent have to say, yeah, she's dealing with hormones, that he said that.
Yeah.
And then there's the whole birthing scene, which we know is I mean, the wardrobe person has to corroborate that and say, yeah, she was nude.
Yeah. Which again, we're forgetting again the footage, and I'm sure Friedman is ready to drop it all as soon as these things become public and he's allowed to clap back at them. They claim that she was wearing not only the pregnancy belly, the fake belly, but she was also wearing briefs and not this thin, tiny piece of fabric that's like a pad, a period pad, which is what
Yeah.
it sounds like to me, like a thin, like pad. Which also, let's talk about that one, the monitor part of it, right? Because in that same allegation, there's a claim that she was nude and the cameras were supposed to be turned off and the monitors weren't supposed to be turned on, and suddenly she turns around and her butt's showing, and then all of a sudden the second she turns around, Baldoni switches back on all the monitors so that everybody can see her nude butt or her butt from behind. So to me, I'm also just like, one, how did you know that he turned them back on if your back was turned to the cameras? And two, like, he had what? He was just waiting for you to turn around so that he could turn the cameras back on so that everybody could see it. And if that were the case, don't you think that there would be more allegations from crew members being like, he's so inappropriate, he wanted to flash her butt to everybody on this closed set?
I don't know. I think that it's maybe she was like hoping that he did that because she wanted people to like, I don't know. It feels a little bit like she's feeling really hot about herself, that she thought he wanted to turn the monitors on for anyone, but it's also a movie set and people need to see what they're being filmed. Like there's so much in here that just doesn't make any sense. This is a movie set. Like Video Village needs to be able to see what's happening on the movie.
Right. Right. Well, I mean, it's also like from that same scene where she's like, oh, he brought his friend in to play the OBGYN. And it's like, oh, well, yes, he may have known the guy that played the doctor that was supposed to deliver Lily's baby in the film. Yeah, he knew him, but that's also, he's not just Baldoni's best friend that he gave this random acting role to. This guy actually has a degree and a variety of acting credits that show that he's a professional actor, not just Baldoni's random friend that was hired off the street.
All I know is that even when we're presented crazy incriminating letters like this, my gut feeling always goes back to trusting that Justin Baldoni is not a creep. It just does.
Yeah.
I'm just going to be honest with you guys. I truly believe in my heart that Justin Baldoni is not a creep.
Yeah. Well, I mean, I also was reached out to by, they told me, they said, to protect their identity, refer to them as they, them. But they're like, but I'm not confused about my gender, just so you know, but refer to me as they, them for anonymity purposes. But this person applied to work for Justin Baldoni and did the initial interview, claims that Baldoni was a delight to work with, claims that they've never met somebody with just such good energy. And this person's like, I don't normally say that people have good energy because that's like a weird statement that I think woo-woo people say all the time. But this person said that Baldoni really did have just good energy. And then I guess they ran into Baldoni like months and months later after this interview for this job. And they ultimately didn't get the job, but they ran into Baldoni, and Baldoni spotted this person, remembered this person's name, remembered details about this person's life. And this person's like, I was literally applying for some low level job that like Baldoni did not need to remember my name or my face or any details about my life at all. And the fact that he did many months later just shows how present and engaged he is when he speaks to people.
This is all I hear about him. I've heard one or two negative things about him, and they're mostly just like maybe a little ego, maybe a little douchey. And
Standard for people in
that's
Hollywood.
just typical actor stuff. But I've never ever heard anything that amounts to sexual harassing or sexual assault or creepy or like touchy feely, like yuck. Like this is what we're dealing with here. You guys have to remember at the end of the day, what he's being accused of is sexual harassment. The smear campaign is the second part, but it's the sexual harassment, which is the thing that will take him down in terms of, whether or not he will ever be able to be hired again. If you are a sexual harasser, you cannot that's a mark on your life. This is what
And
we're trying
also,
to protect him from.
correct. And also, like harassment, difference from harassment and assault, which again, these things are not being present. God, I was making a point and I completely forgot. But yeah, there's a difference between harassment and assault. But like, it categorically doesn't add up to what we know about Baldoni. I mean, I had an actress from the set of Jane the Virgin that reached out to me, and she said had nothing but the best experience while working with. She wanted to remain anonymous. She didn't want her name being put out there, but she was an actress that worked with Baldoni on the set of It Ends With Us, and confidentially came to me anonymously came to me and gave me her experience working with him.
I'm good friends with the casting director of Jane the Virgin for all the years. I've been on the phone with her many times. In fact, she texted me last night. She said, I just got out of a movie. I'm freaking out. And I didn't text her back because I was having Valentine's with my husband. And he was like, please do not work tonight. And I was like, but it's not working. It's just texting friends. Meanwhile, the opposite on the other side. Right?
I agree. I mean, I know people that worked with Blake and that know Blake and Blake's brother and have very, conflicting stories about her that add up with the rumors about her and how difficult she is to work with. I also had one person that knew her very well that's like, listen, she's got a great PR team because they've allegedly buried a number of complaints that were legally filed against Blake Lively with employees and people that had worked with her in the past. And I mean, listen, I would, if that's true, I would love to see those documents come to light. I don't even know how we would be able to access that, but I guess there were Blake's company or her former company, there were harassment claims. I don't think they were SH claims. I think they were more of like verbal harassment, and just a really bad experience working with her.
So basically what we're saying is, I guess how to wrap this live up, if we're planning on wrapping it up, is essentially a lot of people are waiting for the other shoe to drop. And I am too. And Tuesday may have even more damning information. But I think that there's going to be a lot. What?
And I don't think that this is damning, to be honest.
That's what I'm saying. I think how bad can it get? This is how bad it can get. And I think it's all, in my gut feeling, I think it's fabrication.
Yeah.
That's what I think.
We have 8,800 people watching this live stream right now. That's wild. Nearly 9. Yeah. On my channel, we have
Why do you have more
nearly
than me?
9,000.
You have 9,000 on your side. Why do people like men more than
people
women?
hate women? People hate women. That's just the truth.
I have 6,000 people on my side. Can everyone leave?
Which is still a lot. But yeah,
No,
guys. So
it's
Donna
not
and I
enough.
each. Well, hold on. Donna and I each have a YouTube channel and we each have a podcast. So please, we're doing this collab together, but please subscribe to both of us, like our videos, listen to our podcast, Daily Dose of Donna, No Filter with Zack Peter. Can support both of us, right? Like
I cannot believe that you have 9,000, I have 6,000. I'm so devastated.
Okay, Blake, can you tame your ego for 2 seconds?
I'm a one-upper. My name is Blake Lively. I'm a one-upper. And I think I'm losing people.
I'm being harassed right now.
I'm losing people because I said I'm Blake Lively. I've lost people. I am team Justin Baldoni.
Don't worry.
I heard Zack likes Blake Lively more than Justin.
Trent said, I chose Donna, but I love you both.
No, he said, I love you both.
Kids. You're splitting up the kids.
Wait, you guys, if you love Justin Baldoni, choose Donna. That's the poll.
Nicole said I'm a hot gay. That's why. Oh, well, thank you, Nicole.
Maybe I'm a hot gay.
Oh, are you Brandy Glanvilling it up now?
Brandy Glanville, of all of them, that's the one you choose?
Well, because she turned Caroline.
But that's the
Allegedly.
one you choose? There's so many other ones.
Oh, would you rather be Taylor Armstrong?
You're choosing the worst.
Who
There's
are the
so many other
non-worst
late
ones?
in life lesbians.
Like my mom.
I'd rather be your mom than any of them. Kyle
there you go.
Richards. Whoop.
Oh.
Oh.
All right. Well, thank you guys for tuning in.
Yes, definitely.
Do we have anything else we want to add outside of, continue to support us? We're covering this case. We have 2 shows that
Jenna
stream
Lyons.
live.
I got a Jenna Lyons. I'll be
Oh, I love it.
Raquel from Real Housewives of New York. She's hot.
Oh, I thought you were going to say Raquel Levis. But so No Filter with Zack Peter, Daily Dose of Donna. We both release new episodes weekday mornings, Monday through Friday. I stream at 9 a.m. Donna streams at, you're at 11, right? 11 a.m. You're right after me.
Why are you
I'm shouting out the times that we go live. No,
Yes.
I'm giving the times. Yeah.
You scoop me and I copy you.
Yeah, I'm the Real Housewives of Beverly Hills, and Donna's Real Housewives of New York that airs right after, that gets all my overflow.
I'm gonna cancel you.
I'm kidding. You were like at the top of the Apple charts the other day, so you were killing it.
That's true. Well, I will tell you guys, this has been a really, really interesting journey, and we will always try to report what we get from everything, but honestly, we have to trust our guts here on this one.
Yeah.
We will have to trust our guts, and I do believe in my heart. I'm still on the same side I was before I got these documents.
Yeah.
And thank you for the super chats, you guys, or super stickers, or whatever they're called.
Thank you guys so much. We really appreciate you guys. I know we didn't get to too many of that. I mean, the live chat was just moving so fast, and there was so much that we wanted to get through, but we do appreciate you guys for sending all of these in. Your support definitely keeps us alive. And if you listen on the podcast, continue to give us nice podcast reviews. You can support us all over. And those are free. And those are free ways that you can support any of your favorite podcasters, is just leave 5 stars, leave a review if you feel inclined. All of those things really do help us.
All right, you guys, thank you so much. Have a great Sunday. Go enjoy your day. Oh, yeah, there's no work or school tomorrow, but I'll be here.
Oh, that's right. It's a holiday.
It's a holiday, but are you going to be here tomorrow?
I will be here tomorrow because I have to go to New York this week, so I can't take the holiday off.
Oh, you're working from the East Coast.
I'm going to be taping from Spotify in New York.
Oh, you're really trying to one-up me.
Look at this is the Blake Lively in her. Oh, wait. Question about the subpoenas. Would a voice memo text, which appears after listening, look like hidden texts? Or would it show that he has less than what was sent to him?
I don't know if you can see voice memo text in a log.
We need Jed Wallace on this case. He's the tech expert.
Interesting. We'll have to do some research. We need a metadata expert.
We do need a metadata expert to come on over and give us their intake. I've had HR experts, legal experts. Now we need a metadata. I don't even know what is metadata. I don't even know.
Metadata
Goosh.
is
Somebody said that meta is Goosh.
My girl Goosh. I love Goosh. Well, we will figure it all out. Thank you so much, Ari. Thank you, everyone, for being here, you guys. This felt like a great team effort. You know what? Forget politics, forget religion, forget color of your skin, forget the amount of who you sleep with at night, who you love on. We are all in this together.
We're all in this together.
All right, bye, you guys. Love you.
Bye, guys. Love you.